Hey, I'm Fred from controversies.com. You're listening to Scene World. Enjoy the show.
Hey everybody, it's the Scene World podcast. I'm AJ and he is Joerg.
Hello, indeed.
Indeed. We are who we are. In a minute, we will be talking with Roy, Mr. Awesome Shildt. Who
exactly.
Is one of the he had the Missile Command high score. He's in the same sort of league as your Billy Mitchell or your Todd Rogers or any of these guys that are high score champions and are just utterly doused in controversy.
Yeah, but we should mention the controversy is not about Roy himself. It's more about the way how the Missile Command scores.
Yes, there is. Yeah, most of the controversy is related to it's not so much about Roy as it is as much about Twin Galaxies, which is just the way it always is with anything Twin Galaxies. So
right. Yeah.
Twin Galaxies. Boy, God. Oh. When are we gonna have them on? They won't talk to us.
I tried in 6 years.
Yeah.
Chase Hall will not talk to anybody.
Yeah. So before that, there's a little bit of news, I guess, to cover. So let's do some news coverage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Turrican Flashback has been released, at least the retail version.
Mm-hmm.
I ordered the Turrican Flashback Collector's Edition, and that isn't, of course, shipped yet. It's still in production, but the retail version has been released, and for Backstick B64K, a YouTube channel from Canada, actually Chris Hülsbeck and the lead producer of the collection, Audie Sorley, did an interview about then and now Turrican.
Okay.
So we will link to that. It's a pretty interesting 29 minutes interview about this topic.
Cool.
Yeah. So far, I've read some feedback about the compilation and why people say there is not really something very special about it, but at least people say on the Switch, the emulation is pretty good, pretty accurate. The controls are very responsive and natural.
Okay.
Which is also including the Amiga, which is something that the Amiga versions, which is something that many people feared about. When you hear Amiga or Commodore 64 scene, people hear about re-releases or compilations. It's like, hopefully they have no shitty emulation.
Yeah, that's a big issue with especially with the Amiga, because the C64 it was hard to emulate. I remembered that when I started trying to emulate it on the Mac or the PC or anything, like the requirements for emulating it well were through the roof, which I always thought was kind of funny because it's a C64 and I need like a top of the line machine to actually emulate it well, but as time has gone on, machines have gotten incredibly powerful, and now we can emulate pretty well. But there's always a little bit of latency. It's never quite right. It's everything's. The music doesn't quite sync up with the video just right, or your button. Your button press isn't as quick as it would have been on an actual machine or something. And there's always that thing. Now with the Amiga, that's that latency is doubled because you're emulating so much more on that machine than you would be on just a C64. So typically Amiga conversions are just awful.
And we mentioned that topic with the Mega Drive a couple of times, especially the Ed Games version of the Mega Drive Mini, which isn't very good in sound emulation.
Right.
In quality and in syncing.
Yeah. Right.
and with the video output, and that is why Sega actually decided to re-release their own mini console. And the ad games, Mega Drives, there are like 5 versions about it.
Right.
Since 16 years, they are constantly pushing out versions of it.
Yeah.
And well,
Yeah, that's
that's about it.
I'd like
To that.
I'd like for them to make like one of the things that we are sorely missing. We've got the 64 Reloaded, and there's the C64 Ultimate that are out. No one's really doing this with the Amiga, and there are, I have seen a couple of instances where people have recreated like Amiga motherboards, and it's just a matter of you need to populate them with chips. But I feel like it would be almost an easier road to take with the Amiga to emulate these chips because, again, the processor was a 68,000 for a lot of it, or some derivative of 68K. And things like Individual Computers has the Indivision ECS, which is a scan doubler, which is also, it functions as the video chip. Like I could take out the Denise chip that currently is the video chip, stick in this flicker fixer that they make, the scan doubler, and I don't need to put that chip back in. So I feel like that we could kind of rebuild that sort of thing pretty well if someone was going to make that product. But
I mean, we had similar topics with our past podcast when we spoke to the Chinese designer of the replacement Amiga keyboard.
Yeah, they wanted to make a keyboard.
People weren't too fond of it for some reason.
Yeah.
People are not too fond of it, at least from the Amiga scene.
I don't know why, because the keyboards were not great. So replacing the keyboards would be fantastic.
Yeah, but perhaps that's the same with replacing the motherboard with something recreated. People are not fond of it.
Yeah,
they want to keep their Amigas original.
And that's the thing. That's why I would think, like, coming up with something new for a lot of these things, because your Amiga 500, 600, whatever, those keyboards were built in, but there were some big box Amigas that came with your external keyboards, and those external keyboards cost almost as much as the machines themselves.
I know.
Because there just aren't many of them anymore. So being able to, make a new keyboard for it, replace the motherboard that has the horrible battery acid damage and whatever, put a new, the 64 Reloaded or the Reloaded Mark II that they've got, just, something that you can replace that with some new hardware,
feels like
chips.
Feels like the C64 sceners are much more open to replacements.
Yeah. Maybe so.
At least my feeling.
Yeah,
and
so.
If you look at the statistics, our C64 Reloaded episode, there were 4,000 listeners in a week.
Mm-hmm.
So that topic was hot potato, and people, especially in the forums, I saw in Forum 64. People were like mentioning it, right. And the other one was the Italian Commodore guys. Amiga News actually made an index of everything that was said in the interview, and so the pet phone back then. Yes. So I think as soon as you don't cover Amiga, people are more open to it. But I never had an Amiga. I never will have an Amiga, so I can only judge from the outside.
Right.
I don't know if I would think likewise if I had an Amiga, but I've never been that person that would be scared of modifying my consoles. I have a stereo modification for my NES. I have a VGA connector on my Mega Drive, and the 250 euros.
If we're talking about modification, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, the Amiga almost screams for it, especially your big box Amigas had, they had slots for putting stuff in. Just even the small ones, I mean, mine, which is sitting behind me, it's got a it's got in the side slot. It's got there's a little basically a 02 slot.
Superpod, yeah. Superpod.
Sitting there with the ACA 500 plus accelerator. It's got an Amiga 1200 accelerator plugged into that, giving me a 68020. It's got a networking thing attached to it. It's got the scan doubler internally on it. It's got the extra RAM in the trapdoor that's been wired up, and I replaced the Agnes chip with the fatter Agnes chip so I could have the higher RAM numbers and all this stuff.
Well, you are obviously not the average Amiga user.
Well, I thought I felt like that was the average Amiga user, like squeezing as much out of these things as they can. Nobody uses a stock Amiga anymore.
Anyways, let's not get too sidetracked here. Okay. Well, other news. A couple of months ago, we had our special retro gaming in Venezuela. And Petro Planas, we said we would cover his videos and news every news bit episode ever since. But we didn't because he stopped doing YouTube videos for a while. And now he actually announced a week ago that he resumes it soon.
Oh, hey now.
So he will be back in business.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We like to see that.
It's always good if our guests are continuing working on their retro related stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, that would be my news so far.
Okay. Well, that's what I got. I don't have anything either.
Either would imply that I haven't got anything.
Yeah, well, I don't have anything else. I don't have anything more than you've got.
Okay, I see. Okay, well then let's jump to Missile Command guy.
Yes.
To
well,
Mr. Awesome.
Yeah, not Missile Command guy. He'd come over there and have a conniption fit if he saw that.
Mr. Awesome.
Yes, Mr. Awesome. Roy Shildt.
Excuse me, Roy.
Yes.
Alrighty.
Okay.
See you there. So today, AJ and we are welcoming another arcade, a high score, I would say champion player, and that would be Roy, Mr. Awesome Shildt. Hello, Roy. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the podcast.
How you doing? Roy Shildt here.
Great. So you are basically known for your Missile Command achievements.
Correct.
So let's start at the beginning, as we usually do. How did you first get in touch with Missile Command? How did that all start?
I started playing Missile Command when I was a student at UCLA, and I started playing marathon scores, and I did a world record on a marathon score. And then I found out about Twin Galaxies by contacting the Guinness Book of World Records. And I wanted to get into the Guinness Book of World Records, and they told me to go through Twin Galaxies.
Okay.
So that's where it started, and that's when the things got serious about playing Missile Command.
Yeah, and this is actually how we got aware of you. And the Missile Command thing, that was mentioned on the King of Kong documentary, and something that you said about the trackball speed settings. And
the trackball speed settings, nobody really talked about them much until this just recently, around 2006, 2007. People have become more aware of that there were two trackball settings on Missile Command. Nobody played a lot of Missile Command. It was never really an issue because it never mattered to anyone about anything. But now recently it's mattered. And me and Walter, we had a discussion about it on E4All on October 5th, 2008, during that the E4All in Los Angeles, California.
Mm-hmm. And why are there two different settings? What is the reason for that?
Well, there's a slow trackball setting and there's a fast trackball setting. The slow trackball setting is for the 4-inch trackball in the 19-inch screen, and the fast trackball setting is for the 2.5-inch trackball on the 13-inch screen.
So there are different versions of the machine, and that is why. Okay.
Right. They have a smaller cocktail version, 2.5-inch, 13-inch screen, and then they have the stand-up larger screen, 19 inches with the 4-inch trackball, and that uses the slow cursor.
Mm-hmm.
I see, and that is causing discrepancies with the scores because due to the different size, you have different speeds of the cursor.
But the different
So,
it shouldn't really make that much of a difference because I mean, again, the different trackball speeds are in they're in response to different sized trackballs, so it makes up for the discrepancy in the size of the ball. So
right, there you go. But a lot of people were playing the fast cursor with the bigger trackball.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that was instead of using the factory recommended slow cursor, because they did come out with a manual that said to use the slow cursor on the big trackball, and then and it also said to use the fast cursor on the small trackball. But then Atari issued another manual that said to use the fast cursor on the big trackball, and it was a typo, but people used it anyway.
Oh, that I didn't know. That's quite interesting. Yeah. So even between the different versions of the operation manual, there was a difference. Okay.
Right. There were four missile commands. I mean, there's actually four different types of missile command. I mean, there's like they call the 4-inch trackball with the 19-inch screen. It's called the stand-up missile command. But they also have a 13-inch screen, and a 2.5-inch trackball is also like a mini stand-up machine.
Okay.
So they have a big stand-up machine and a small stand-up machine, and they have a sit-down cocktail machine, and they also have what's called a cockpit missile command. There's a cocktail missile command, and then there's a cockpit missile command. And that
where you sit inside.
Where you sit inside. And that uses the slow cursor on the 4-inch trackball. So you got four different versions of missile command.
Wow. Okay, I can
understand. More or less the same, but they all operate the same, but they're just different sizes and different cabinets and what have you.
And that is the problem because of the it makes it makes the game more difficult or less difficult depending on the settings. So having both in the same scores is kind of an issue.
Well, it really is an issue because you have to have like for instance on the 4-inch trackball, they have like you can play it on the slow cursor or you can play it on the fast cursor. And they have a manual that says that's the proper setting depending on which manual you have. The first manual says to use the slow cursor, and then the later manual says to use the fast cursor. So now you got people playing on the fast cursor who think they're playing on the correct setting, but they're not. But the game plays a little bit, a little bit easier. So you have scores on the correct thing to do is to have scores on the slow cursor and scores on the fast cursor and have them in different settings. But Walter Day and Twin Galaxies, they decided to have them all put together. Like Walter Day said when he was at E4All in October 2008, he said, the tapestry is, we blended all the scores together, and and then they have like a note database behind the scenes that tells you which cursor speed that they use, and they just rank them all in the same ranking, which I don't think is fair. You should rank them separately.
Sure.
Or at least, but they won't do it because because the guy, Tony Temple, the guy who had the record, he wouldn't have it anymore. So they're trying to make that guy keep his record. They don't want to take his record away from him, so they just blended them all together, and they don't want to do the right thing and split the settings.
And that is the problem, basically, because as a player at the beginning, you personally didn't know there were different settings.
Well, not in the beginning, but I found out later. I mean, at some point, somewhere I guess around 83 or 84 is when I found out, and I was playing on the correct setting, the slow cursor.
I see. That's a big issue indeed. Yeah.
Well, they're trying to say that I'm lying, that I was really playing on the fast cursor, and I could understand why they would think that. But I said, hey, I'll just play it again. I know I don't have any physical evidence. I can't prove it. And just like Walter said, he says, well, you heard what he said.
I did. Yeah.
I mean, he says we don't know what you played on, and you don't know either. They're telling me I don't know. So I said, well, I kind of laugh at him, I said, I know what I was playing, and it's kind of funny in a way, but it's kind of silly that they can't recognize it. See, let me tell you what happened. I mean, that's true enough. See, at the elite level of missile command, it really doesn't matter. It's more important, the quality of the play is more important than the quantity of the play. You follow what I'm saying? So, yeah. I mean, there is a difference when you're playing like a marathon game. I mean, when you're playing a marathon game and you can just keep going as long as you can, it doesn't really matter that much. So what happened was they came up with a new standard. There was 3 different ways of missile command. There was the original marathon missile command, where you get a world record playing every 10,000 points, you get a bonus city. That's called marathon. And then they came up with tournament setting, where you wouldn't get any bonus cities at all, and you'd keep playing. But I mean, at the elite level of missile command, the tournament setting now becomes marathon tournament setting. All right.
Well, so, that's pretty complex. Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, that's what Guinness Book of World Records got behind, because Tony Temple had his score on the fast cursor and I had my score on the slow cursor, and the Guinness Book of World Records guy said, well, we're thinking about taking away Tony Temple's score and just having everybody replay it. And I said, well, just leave it the way it is and turn it into a marathon tournament, and then go to the next higher quality standard, points at 100 rounds.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. Well, I mean, I saw a video. I don't know from when it was, but I saw a video once where you had like a presentation in a room where you were explaining the problem that you just explained to us about the different cursor speeds and so on, and then the different settings. And I think that Richie Knuckles was with you in the room, and you invited him as an expert, and he backed you up and said that you actually had a point, but for some reason you also said that Walter Day denied to look into it further.
Well, he wanted to keep it the way it was. I mean, he wanted to keep the scores all bunched together, and the fast cursor and the slow cursor, people playing on the fast cursor and slow cursor, and have it as player's choice, and just keep all the scores in the same ranking. So he didn't want to change anything, because then he'd have to change the missile command champion into somebody else. So, which would probably be.
And I wonder, do you know how the current Twin Galaxies are handling it? Did they actually fix that problem?
No, they did not.
Too bad.
Actually, that's one of the reasons they got tossed out of the Guinness Book of World Records, because if you look at I'm looking at the Twin Galaxies website right now, where they say expert skill index. I mean, they actually combined not only tournament missile command with marathon missile command. So now you get scores for each of those. I mean, you got this expert skill index, which is kind of ridiculous, because playing marathon missile command at 10,000 point bonus is kind of silly.
So what do you think should be done to correct that?
I'd say just what I'm saying is that points at 100 rounds on the correct setting, the slow cursor is what I got the score for in the 2014 edition of the Guinness Book of World Records. They're finally starting to get it right. So they should have, to be the missile command champion, there's going to be 2 missile command champions. One on the slow cursor. It's going to be tournament setting, points at 100 rounds, and then points at 100 rounds for the fast cursor, which I guess Tony Temple would be the champion of if and when he submits a score.
Right.
So that's the way it is.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
what they're working on. That's what they're working on. And then all of a sudden, and then in the last 2 years, they started this expert skill index, and they made Victor Sandberg the missile command champion, and he only has 818,000 points on the fast cursor. I mean, this expert skill index just doesn't work. That's one of the reasons why Guinness never really looked into it. They were accepting information from Twin Galaxies without without doing the research. They figured they could trust them, but then they found out that this expert skill index is a bunch of malarkey, and that's one of the reasons why they booted Twin Galaxies out of the Guinness Book of World Records once again.
How do they determine the expert skill index? Because I'm looking at that, and
you can ask Jace Hall knows something about it. It's Robert Merzak's work. Robert Merzak is like the guy who controls Twin Galaxies. He's the guy who pays for the scoreboard. He's the guy who's involved with it. Jace Hall is just like the puppet owner. And Billy and Robert Merzak are the ones that really control everything that goes on at Twin Galaxies to a certain degree, especially concerning the scoreboard. So.
And Merzak is the head referee, right?
He's the ex-referee.
The ex-referee.
Yeah, he resigned from Twin Galaxies way back in like 2006, 2007 because. Well, there's a rumor that he lied to Guinness Book of World Records about Tony Temple's the trackball speed that Tony Temple was playing on, because he submitted the score, the Tony Temple score to Guinness World Records, and he lied about it. He said. When he found out that Tony Temple had played on the fast cursor, the wrong cursor speed, he lied to Guinness Book of World Records to make sure it got printed.
That's interesting. I mean, now all this fuss about missile command, and I think it was 2 years ago where they started with others cheating, like Todd Rogers.
Mm-hmm.
And I always forget the name.
Well, Todd Rogers may or may not be a cheater. It's just that, I mean, as far as that dragster record of his, there's somebody that says that
Dragster was it? Thank you, Dragster. Yeah, right.
Somebody said that score is impossible. I don't know anything about it. I just know what I read, but I'm not extremely familiar with his situation. But it seems that Todd Rogers lied about Billy Mitchell and how he played his Donkey Kong scores. So when they found out it was impossible to get that dragster score, they took it down.
But here's the interesting thing. We mentioned Jace Hall, and Jace Hall had an editorial team for the blog that was done by a different team, outsourced. And one of them, the head editor, asked me if I knew anybody working for Activision. And I was like, yeah, I know David Crane, who was, by accident, the coder of Dragster. And what I didn't know at this time, that they wanted somebody from Activision to prove or disapprove the possibility of the Dragster high score of Todd Rogers. And at the same time, where David Crane, the coder of the game, said the score is legit, it makes sense, and it's possible. At the same time, the community in the forum said it's impossible.
Oh, really?
So the coder itself said the score is possible, but the community said it's impossible. So to this day, I personally don't know who is right here.
Yeah, and I'll step in here as a coder, and I will say that just because you coded the game doesn't mean that you're an expert at the game. So I don't know that if I coded a game, I don't know that I could tell you that a score was possible or not, just because I might not be. As a coder, I'm not good at the game. That's why all these cheats exist in the game, for the coders to jump ahead and see how the game works. Because they're not necessarily that great at playing it. So David Crane saying that no, you could totally hit this score, it might not really be. You might not really be able to. That's my opinion on that. It's a difficult thing. He may very well know how the inner game the game works and might know that this is a thing that can happen. But as a coder myself, I can say that if I coded a game, I couldn't tell you what you could do with it. Honestly, I couldn't give you ideas for high scores because I coded it, it went out the door, and that was the last I played it. And yeah,
Right.
I mean that's the thing. Like people are always constantly like finding ways to beat games in different ways that you hadn't planned on, and
Right.
that's my theory. But,
Yeah, that's playing similar to the kill screen of Pac-Man, where the coder didn't even know there was a kill screen
right.
because he
if there
never
wasn't,
played
doesn't
it
it
before.
doesn't it just crash?
Yeah, no,
I-
it shows a scrambled screen.
Yeah,
And then-
yeah, right.
Yeah, but kind of crashing.
Yeah, because they never expected to get that far.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, it's a difficult topic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's good, Roy, that we talk about this because I think we should have that covered. Because the world only talks about Pac-Man and Donkey Kong and Trackster, but I haven't heard a lot of interviews and statements about Missile Command, and that is why we talk with you today. To get your side of the story.
Yeah. Well, I think part of the reason is because I dominate that game the way that I have. I mean, nobody has really been a better player than I am for like forever. I mean, I had the first record, the 1.6 million back in 1985, which stood for 20 years, and even to this day, I mean, only 3 other people have beaten it. Really, 1, 2, 3 other people have beaten it.
Right.
So well, no, not 3. 2 other people have beaten it. And this guy Jason Askey, he's got 1.3 million. I know he could beat it if he had extra time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he probably just hasn't bothered to submit a score because I know he plays on the fastball. I actually spoke to him on the phone a couple of years ago. He plays on the fast trackball setting just like Tony Temple does, and me and Jeff Blair, we both play on the slow cursor.
Right.
Huh.
But Jeff Blair hasn't been able to beat my points at 100 round scores. He's beaten the marathon. He's beaten the tournament score. He's got a higher one, and he deserves to be the champion there. But the new standard of excellence is tournament setting. How many points can you get by the end of the 100th round? And I have the record 1,147,395, and it's in the 2014 edition of the Guinness Book of World Records.
So I wonder, are you planning to make new scores or beat in the sections the people
I retired on Labor Day 2009. I'm done with it. I mean, there's no money involved. I was hoping some money would get involved,
Right.
but I mean, I actually tried to sell my machine on eBay. I sent it back to the guy I bought it from, and we were going to sell it on eBay, and eventually I ended up donating it to a museum in Europe. So.
Wow, that's very nice. That's very nice. Yeah, well, so I mean, there are other people like Steve Wiebe earlier this year. He also announced he will come back from retirement and try to beat some Donkey Kong scores. So perhaps we can convince you to come back from Missile Command retirement at some point,
Yeah, I'm trying to come back. I'm trying to find a machine right now. I was looking to try to find one. So I might make a comeback because I got some time on my hands. I think Steve Wiebe's comeback was probably based on this pandemic that everybody's staying at home and has nothing to do anyway. So,
That's true.
Right.
That's true.
So I think that's what's promoting that.
Yeah. That's. I mean, hey. I wonder what is actually your opinion about that. I mean, from your documentaries, I know you are not big friends with those guys, right? Billy Mitchell and so on. But
no.
but do you think it's right what the new Twin Galaxies did, and just removed the scores?
Oh, Bill Mitchell scores?
Yeah, I mean this whole thing. I mean, it's
Well,
pretty.
no, they removed his scores, and then they're planning to remove my scores later. That was the whole thing on that.
Really?
As a matter of fact, they removed the Donkey Kong scores, and then later they decided to remove all of them. Isn't that right? They first removed the Donkey Kong scores, and then later they took away his Pac-Man and all the rest of his scores as well.
That's true. Yeah. At first they started with Todd Rogers and Dragster, then they went to Donkey Kong, and then they went to Pac-Man. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I think they went too far. I mean, I don't think they should have took those scores down. They were taking. They're trying to say that what they're planning to do is they're planning to say that I lied about my trackball setting. Then they're going to take down my scores too. That's what they're planning to do. Right. So.
Wow.
Well, you know about that, don't you? What do you know about that, AJ? Did anyone say something to you?
No.
No.
I'm just
telling you because I know what's going on behind the scenes. Because I was the one who was I filed. Because what happened was I went to Twin Galaxies to talk to Jace Hall myself. I've had an interview with him up in his office, and I wanted him. And I was speaking to him. He's trying to. The guy is dishonest and he's a sneaky. He works for Billy. I mean, he supports all these expert skill indexes for Missile Command, which are ridiculous, and he's the one who's responsible for taking down his Pac-Man score,
Yeah. Well,
and he sent that information to the Guinness Book of World Records, and when I saw it, I immediately contacted Guinness World Records and said, that's incorrect, it should not have been done. But the problem is, it got printed. Guinness didn't do their research, because they get information from Twin Galaxies and print it without doing research, because they trust Twin Galaxies, and this time it got him in a little bit of trouble, because Bill Mitchell sued them to get his scores reinstated, which was really easy to do because they shouldn't have been taken down in the first place.
Right.
So I mean, that's the thing. That's exactly the thing. And the thing is, they excused him of using a MAME. And the thing is, I mean, we discussed that before this interview. Accused.
Not excused.
Accused. Yeah. And the thing is, I personally have not enough knowledge to know if Billy knew that or if he didn't. And that's really a thing. I think
they say they caught him because of some girder, and the way the girders load. There's a certain way they load in the regular Donkey Kong, and then AJ knows more about it. AJ knows something about that, don't you?
I know a bit about it, not too much, but the main thing that it always came down to with everyone that we've spoken to is whether Bill knows whether he has the technical expertise to do such a thing, whether he has the expertise to actually use a MAME game. And everybody that we've spoken to is like this guy can't even, use a computer to, he can't even, he needs help to make a Skype call and this and that. So the odds of him going up and setting up a MAME cabinet and using that instead, are impossible. But I mean, there's 25 people around him that are also helping out. So what's to say that they didn't set it up? He played it. He may not have even known he was playing a MAME cabinet. Who knows?
True. True.
Like I don't, it's one of those things where to me, and I'm not much of a gamer. I was a programmer and a demo coder and stuff. So gaming was sort of secondary to me. But it seems almost like, to me it seems like a Donkey Kong score is a Donkey Kong score, whether it comes from an original cabinet or from a MAME cabinet or from whatever. Now Joerg is giving me a look like no, that's not true because there's timing differences and this and that, and
exactly.
On the basic level, yes, I'm sure that is, and it just it's one of those things where it's just. I don't know. It's hard to form it. Everyone's got an opinion on it,
Yeah, and the
Right.
thing is,
It's you know,
when this happened, nobody wanted to talk to us for 2 years.
yeah,
I'm like, no, I'm not talking to anybody about anything. Like, okay, great, thank you very much.
yeah.
You know, yeah,
This is one
it's
of those
difficult.
things where, opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one.
Yeah.
Right, right. Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, I mean, we looked at the other day. At this point, MAME was already 12 years. I mean, MAME was created in '97. So
Yeah, it was like a couple of months old when he did this.
Okay.
yeah, that's actually the question. When he did that, was it '07 or was it '97? I don't know. That's actually the good question.
Yeah, I don't know, but it
I
just
don't know
struck
either.
me as like, it's one of those things that I guess for if you want to get really like pedantic and really want to like because again with Donkey Kong it's all pattern recognition because everything comes down in a pattern.
Right.
Missile Command is a little bit different. Missile Command is more I believe it is more like Twitch based. Like it's reaction time and it's anticipation of what's going to happen rather than just recognizing patterns.
Right.
And I guess
Right.
with MAME the patterns can they on MAME and on a real machine it happens slightly differently or on an emulator it's slightly different. So in some ways you could cheat by slowing it down or something. I don't know. It feels like to me that it should just be if you played the game and you got a high score, you are good at the game and therefore you have a good score.
Mm.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
what they use as a base for this accuse is actually the King of Kong movie from '97. So
Yes.
at this point, MAME was 10 years old.
Oh, the King
So-
of Kong movie was in
sorry,
2007.
yeah, exactly. I made a mistake.
Right,
So
right.
so
Right.
2007. So the MAME was already 10 years old, and I
Yeah.
think even if you have no idea about computers, if you are in touch with the topic, you tend to learn something, even if you don't want to or not planning to. Just like you, Roy. At some point, you learned about the different trackball speeds.
Right.
Even though it's something you probably didn't know.
Right,
I mean,
because stuff like the trackball speeds and the games themselves, that's not something that a player is going to necessarily have access to.
yeah,
that's
it's not
built
like,
into the
hey,
game. It's
show
a
me the operation manual, please.
yeah, right. It's a dip switch inside the cabinet that if you're just going to play the game, that you don't have access to. That's what it's set at when it's put there in the box.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a difficult topic. It's really a difficult topic.
Yeah, it is.
It is. Like for instance, at E for All, when Walter was saying I didn't know and he knows, and I could understand that, but I wanted them to put I don't know if we're going to talk about that. I guess.
Yeah, why
Anything
not?
you like. Anything you like.
No, I just wanted to cover some of these things here because when I was at E for All, Walter say we don't know and you don't know what trackball playing. We want to see you play. So I went to play a game, and I got a really good score. I got 816,000, but I was able to keep two cities all the way up to 600,000.
Right.
See, a lot of people when they play Missile Command, they drop down to one city like at 100 or 200,000, and they keep playing just by guarding basically the city to the left of the middle base is the easiest city to defend. You have 6 cities on the ground. You
Right.
start off with 6, and then you play as best as you can. You keep as many of them as you can for as long as you can. But if you lose the city to the left of the middle base, that's really not a really bad thing. And if you lose to the city to the right of the middle base, the city to the left of the middle base is the easiest one to defend, and the city to the right of the middle base is the second easiest city to defend. If you wanted to play a tournament setting where you didn't get any bonus cities at all, if you lost those 2 cities, your game would be over. Even if you had the other 4, it'll be over in a very short period of time.
Right.
The only way you can keep going to get to like 2 million points, the way Tony Temple does, or Jeff Blair and myself, I mean, you have to keep that city to the left of the middle base, or at least the city to the right of the middle base.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is you just get that one. Once you have that one city, you keep saving it. You can get a high score with a mediocre level of play. So that's the reason why points at 100 rounds was created, because it forced you to play hard. You had to play harder to get a high score. It wasn't a matter of just getting to the 100th round. You had to get there. You had to get to the 100th round with a higher level of quality of play to get a higher score.
Right.
Okay. So anyway, I'm playing at E4All on October the 5th, I think it was, and 816,000. But I had 2 cities at 600,000. So I was pretty close to a world record pace at that point. And even though I only got up to 800, I had 2 cities at 600,000. I got up to 800,000, and I wanted Walter, and then, Walter just took that score and he put it on his scoreboard to harass me and defame me, because my other score, the score that he was speaking to me about, where I got, the score that I got, where I supposedly didn't know what trackball playing I was playing on. I mean, that's the 1.6 million that I got in 185. That had been taken down, and it hadn't been put up yet. Now I came over there to play to show that I have the skills to get a score like that, and I played this 816,000 score. And an expert missile command player, even though I'd only gotten a third of the score, with 2 cities at 600,000 is extremely difficult to do. It's harder to have 2 cities at 600,000 than it is to have 1 city at 1 million points. An expert missile command player would know that. So I was hoping Walter would put my score back up, but instead he puts up this one score to taunt and defame me because my other score wasn't up there. You follow what I'm saying? Just that score alone, and he's trying to tell everybody, well, if you really got that record, you're gonna, he's trying to goad me into replaying the record by. I shouldn't have had to replay anything. My score should have been up there anyway. So now he's putting that score on there to say, well, we're going to keep that up there to remind everybody that this is as much skill as you really have, and you don't deserve the record. And that's what that meant. So I said, well, I want my score put back up. Mm-hmm. And he said, no, you can't do that. And he said, I can't remember what he said. So yeah, but we had a discussion. I started to patronize him. I said, look, I don't have any physical evidence. If you can't put my score back up as as a slow cursor score, at least put it up as a unknown score. Put it in like he said, like some people played on the on, some people played on the off, and some people we don't know. You remember that part?
Yeah.
Okay. So I said, well, I started patronizing him and say, hey, Walter, let's just assume I don't want people to think I make up stories. This is I'm trying to remember we had like a big argument about it that didn't get filmed. I'm saying I want you to put my score back up. I say you want to put it in. I put it in the unknown category, and I can always replay it. You can keep it in the unknown category until I do replay it. Show me some credibility. No. I said, well, hey, and I started patronizing him. Put it in the unknown. I could always be wrong. Maybe I got it wrong. Maybe. I know I played on the slow cursor, but I'm saying, there's a possibility. Maybe I didn't know. I'm just trying to patronize him. I'm not trying to trick him or anything. I said, well, maybe it got by me or something. I didn't check the dip switch myself, and if the rollers or the trackball were misaligned, maybe it got by me. I'm just trying to make nice with him. Can you please put my score back up? Put it in the unknown category, and I'll replay it on the slow cursor. And he said, no, you have to replay it. So eventually
I wanted to say, for me, this always appeared a to be a bit emotional. I remember asking Walter about something, regarding the high scores and stuff, and he would ignore my question. And at some point, I was like, Walter, can you please answer? Can you please stop ignoring?
Well, I want to say something else about this. In addition to that, there's a guy named Mark Alpinger. Do you know who Mark Alpinger is?
Never heard of him. No.
How about AJ? Do you know who Mark Alpinger is?
No, I don't.
Well, he has a scoreboard. It's called Classic Arcade Gaming, and
Never heard.
Well, no, he does. He told me he is at one of the Guinness tournaments. He always goes there. He told me that Walter Day told him he took down my score because of what I did with Donkey Kong.
And what did you do with Donkey Kong?
Because I made a big. He took down my score off the scoreboard because I was making trouble for him and his company. That's not a reason for taking down somebody's score. That's crazy.
Okay.
And on top of that, I got an email from he had a guy that was working. I can't remember what year was this. He had a detective that was one of his referees.
Okay.
And he sent me an email telling me that Walter told him that the reason why he took down my score was because I was unconventional and a disgrace because of my sex life.
Wow.
So I sent I sent the email to the Guinness World Records and to show them that the reason they took my score down was complete bogus. So
I mean, what your preference is in your private life?
No, it wasn't preference. It was all the things. Well, when I send you the book, you'll see it. There's some crazy stuff that I do in there.
Well, so, I read some of that stuff in the Kotaku article. That you wrote.
Oh yeah. Well, it's some of it's out. Once you, I'll send you the book. Once you read the book, it'll become clearer to you.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I do a lot of crazy things, and it's like if I went out and committed a crime, would that be a reason to take my score off the scoreboard? No, do you think so?
Well, I'm looking at the Classic Arcade Gaming website right now, which has this is Missile Command, and they have Victor Ali's score up as the main the Marathon Arcade, and then tournament they have Tony Temple, but they do have a side note saying that this tops Roy Shilt's long-standing mark of 1,695,265 points made at Johnny C's Family Fun Center in Victoria. Yeah. So it does note that you had the score before Tony Temple.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
That's on the actual Classic Gaming Arcade website under there.
Well, you should call to the guy who makes that guy's Mark Alpinger. That's his website.
Okay.
Now he told me that Walter told him that he took down my Missile Command score because of what I did with Donkey Kong. Why don't you call him and surprise him with a question and see how he responds and figure out whether I'm telling the truth or not.
Yeah.
Is what I do.
I totally believe what you say. I mean, based on what we heard when we talked to other people having similar complaints. So I wonder, why isn't there somebody neutral,
That's something that we've said or I've said anyway, time and again, is that I feel like there needs to be just another entity that can be neutral about scores, because this is so it becomes so political with Twin Galaxies and Classic Arcade Gaming. This is the first I've heard of it, and I just looked it up. But I mean, it becomes so political because of the personalities involved in it, and people disliking everybody else. And it's like, can we just just list the scores? Just take the scores and put them in a place, and so you can see them. Like regardless of whether here's the top 10, and regardless of whether they're disputed or whatever, it's like, here they are.
The thing is, I had this idea of interviewing all the players and all those people 6 years ago in 2014, and if I knew it was so difficult and all these fights between people, maybe I would have thought twice about it on the retro perspective. But hey, here we are having this phone call, and well, I mean, it's still interesting. I mean, I still don't want to give up on it, but it's really difficult to talk to the people, you know. It's very emotional. It's very emotional, and I understand. Yeah. If I was in the same position, I would probably also be pissed, you know.
Right.
Yeah. It's totally understandable. And also, a lot of people, including the Kotaku article, says you should have gotten more recognition since the movie, and you totally didn't, you know?
Well, see, the thing is, that book that I wrote, you haven't read it. Once you read it, you're going to understand why I've caused some problems for myself.
Right. Well, the thing is, we tried to find it, but all we found was downloads with viruses.
Really? You couldn't download a copy off the internet?
We could not find it for download. No.
Really?
We looked all over. Yeah.
Maybe somebody took it down then, because what I would do is I would put Roy Shildt comic book, Mr. Awesome, and I'd hit search, and it would go to the place where you could download the book.
I thought so, but then it was an exe file with a virus in it. I was like, oh no, I don't want to execute that. You know?
Yeah.
Someone's trying. They said they already sold 5,000 copies, so which I received not one penny for. So
it's weird. Yeah, it's weird. So
yeah, we went through a ton of different books, and it all says, like, you know, Mr. Awesome's The Comic Book Life of Roy Shildt, and I'm pulling up one of the pages right now, and it's what it ends up with is let's see. It's going to take me a minute to load.
I mean, perhaps you should reprint it or release it as a ebook.
Well, I'm trying to get a movie done about myself. I'm trying to get a Roy Shildt movie done. I've been working on it. I'm trying to get somebody. This pandemic has slowed everything down. I was working. I tried to get some people to do the movie. I tried to get Spike Lee to do it. I sent them a copy of the book. I sent them the DVD. I sent him a King of Kong DVD, and I sent him a copy of my book. I sent it to his office. I know he got it. I know he read it, because because I hired a guy to send it to me as my agent. You know that guy Charles Darton. What's his name? The guy who was the prosecutor on O.J. Simpson.
Yeah.
What was that guy's name? The black guy. Do you remember what his name? Charles Darton. I can't even remember. It's been so long.
Christopher Darden.
Yeah, Christopher Darden.
Okay.
I went to his office and I gave it to him, and I told him to mail it to Spike Lee to make sure that he'd care enough to read it.
Right.
Because Christopher Darden is a household name. At least it was during the O.J. Simpson trial. I spoke to him. He wrote a book. He wrote a book about it, and he told me he cleared $800,000.
But still, despite the pandemic, you can still self-publish your book. You know, I mean.
But I'm not going to get any movies made. I want the big deal. I want the whole enchilada, dude. I want the whole thing. I just don't.
Now imagine.
I don't want to make a few. I don't want to make a couple of 100,000. I want to make a couple of 100 million. I don't have time.
I hope when you made your first million, you remember the two of us.
Okay. I'll remember.
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing is about the movie. Interestingly, is that Billy Mitchell always claims he never saw it, and I highly doubt that.
Yeah.
You know?
He doesn't want to answer all the questions, because the questions are, well, why didn't you get on that plane to go to Fun Spot? Well, because I'm a coward and an asshole. I mean, and now he doesn't. I didn't see the movie. He doesn't even have to. What is he going to do? He has no defense for what he did. So then he's just going to pretend that he doesn't know about it. It's just his way of going into denial. Well, I haven't seen it. Sorry, can't talk about it.
Yeah, it's a really difficult topic, and I wish the community of Twin Galaxies was a bit nicer and a bit more forthcoming, you know.
Right.
I mean, all those record holders, you know. I mean, it's kind of a legacy, you know. I mean, it all started 30, almost 40 years ago, and now it's looking like it's all falling apart in a way.
Right.
At least this is how it's feeling for me, you know.
I hear you.
Yeah.
And so I'm really thankful that we can do this interview today, and you know, so finally we can get some of this stuff preserved for the future, you know.
Great. All right. Is there anything else you want to talk about? How much more
the
time do we
question
have?
is, we have all the time you need. I mean,
Yeah.
You were the one, you were calling AJ and me that you have other stuff you want to touch us now.
Yeah, like you wanted to talk about Victor Ali's marathon score and that being removed.
Yeah, they removed his score. That was where I went up to Jace Hall's to Twin Galaxies to complain. Well, I didn't complain about it. They took it down later. But I went up there to get my marathon score reinstated because they have the tournament scores there, right? But I wanted my marathon score put back up, and I started playing. I was playing Missile Command. He has a Missile Command in his office. He has a few games there, at least he did.
Right.
And I was playing it, and I wanted to come back and play some more, but he wouldn't let me play because I wanted to show him that I had the capability of getting the score that wasn't up there, and he just wouldn't let me back into the office. Because he works for Billy, you know.
Right.
They're just bringing me in there. They're interviewing me. They're asking me these questions, and they're trying to get information they can use against me in some way, and they have no intentions of doing anything right. So you know that's the story with Jace Hall. So what happened is they've taken down my marathon store, and instead of putting it back up, they took down Victor Ali's to justify taking mine down.
Okay.
Right.
That's really.
Yeah.
Victor Ali said that, you know, like I said, he was describing how he did his scores. He's telling us a story about it, and he uses the term when we played. He said, well, you know, when we played to get the marathon, blah blah blah, and then Twin Galaxies interpreted it as that he cheated because more than one person was allowed to play the game.
Come on, really? Seriously?
I swear to God, I'm telling you.
It's like they're trying to find something, even if it's the smallest thing.
Right, there you go, and they do that. They're still doing it to me even now. That's the reason why I'm so worried about this interview.
I mean, the thing is, you can really count on that AJ and I, we are really neutral because we really want to cover the story and how it was from your perspective. And you know, the thing is, if we piss you off, you will probably never want to talk to us again, and that would be totally the opposite of what we are trying to achieve. We want to talk to people.
Right.
We don't want that people are mad on us and don't talk to us anymore. And of course, I'm aware that there is a risk when we release this interview that some people will be mad at me, you know, because like, why did you even talk to Roy, you know? I'm like, well, I want to know his story, and I don't care what somebody else thinks. You know, it's important for me. I want to have this story, so you have no reason to be afraid of what we are going to release. That's one of the reasons.
That's one of the reasons. Twin Galaxies is no longer in the Guinness Book of World Records because when they took down Victor Ali's score, I immediately complained to the Guinness Book of World Records. So justice is served, and Jace Hall, you know, he thought he would get away with it. He's pissed off because he got caught. He knows Robert Merzak's the guy who does his website. You know, it's clearly obvious. And I asked him, Robert Merzak works on your website. He says, no, he has nothing to do with it. He's just another member that. And I know it's complete bullshit. I know there's only one person. There's only one sick mind who would create this expert skill index on Missile Command in the way that it's been done, and it's got Robert Merzak's signature all over it, you know? So I know it's him.
You know, the interesting thing is we spoke to so many people from the old and new Twin Galaxies, and nobody likes Chase Hall. Nobody
Yeah,
is saying
nobody
like,
likes
yeah,
this
Chase
guy.
Hall is a nice guy. Everybody is saying to us they hate Chase Hall. You know, that's the one thing you all have in common. Nobody likes him. You know.
He's between a rock and a hard place because he's the owner of Twin Galaxies. He was doing well when Guinness World Records recognized him, but now that he's not recognized by Guinness, it's a whole different ball game.
Right.
You know, being recognized by Guinness is majorly important to his success, and now he doesn't have it anymore.
Yeah.
So
Well,
we'll have to
I mean,
see what happens.
at one positive thing about Chase Hall,
Well, you
I
already
can
have
say.
me discussing. You already have me discussing that Guinness World Records did the right thing in putting back Billy Mitchell's records, right?
Yeah, from the last record. But now we
You
are
want me
doing
to talk
this.
about that again?
Yes, absolutely.
If you like,
Yeah.
sure.
All right. Yeah. Well, they did the right thing. I mean, Guinness World Records, like when they took his score when it was appeared in the Guinness Book of World Records, they took his Donkey Kong scores and his Pac-Man. I immediately called up and said that shouldn't have been done. It was incorrect.
Mhm.
I mean, they don't communicate with me, but that's what I told them. So, and it seems like the right thing to do. I mean, I don't think they're going to come out and say, well, we never should have did it in the first place. It sits in the book. They're responsible for it. So Craig Glenday, he had that thing on YouTube where he tells everybody that he's reinstating Billy Mitchell's scores, and he said, well, we reviewed the evidence and we, witnesses and everything, and we've decided to reinstate his scores. He wasn't very specific about it, but he probably said, well, he didn't say, well, we never should have took him down in the first place because we were stupid enough to listen to Guinness. I mean, to Twin Galaxies, we never should have had a contract with him anyway. We made a big mistake, blah, blah, blah. Well, obviously that's true because Twin Galaxies is no longer with them. So,
Right.
I mean, that's probably one of the reasons why they aren't, because they never should have printed that. And I told them the minute I saw it, I sent them. I know a couple of guys there, and I sent an email and said, "This is nonsense. You're going to have to do something about it."
Mm-hmm.
So,
I wonder if the Guinness Book of World Records thinks the same I do. Like this is a whole mess.
yeah, it really is. I mean, these guys. I mean, this guy. I mean, Billy Mitchell's crazy, but Robert Merzak's the worst. He's lost his mind because he got thrown. I mean, his whole life changed because he lied about Tony Temple's score. He blames me too. He blames me for it.
Right.
So in some crazy way, because I told Guinness that Tony Temple played on the wrong cursor speed, and I told him right before the deadline so that they wouldn't have enough time to construct a whole package of lies and nonsense to cover themselves. They only had like a day or two. You follow what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
and he didn't. So he lied to Guinness World Records and said that Tony Temple's score was played on the correct setting. And when Guinness World Records found out that he lied, they insisted that he resign immediately.
Mm.
That must be one of the real bugaboos with what they do there.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. I never knew that, but I only knew that he stepped down, but I never knew the whole background story about it.
Well, he lies. He says it's something else, but that's not what it is.
And I also wonder, there is another guy who made the King of Con, Dwayne Richards.
Richards, he's another crazy guy. He's another lunatic.
Yeah, and I just wanted to ask you about him. What's your opinion about him?
He's a lunatic. He's crazy. He's nuts. He's a cheater. I got him. Have you seen I call him a cheater on my website. Have you seen it?
Yeah. I saw your
he's
website. Sorry. I saw it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he cheats a lot. All the contests he won, he knew all the games were in advance when nobody else did. when he won his first big tournament in 1986. I can't prove that, but I know that's the reason. And then when Fun Spot started having the contest back at 2000, 2001, Walter Day was in charge, and they picked the games for the contest, and they picked the ones that Dwayne Richard wanted. So how are you going to compete against a guy who picks the games to play in a contest on the same day you're just finding out, and he's known what they were for like months and months before you?
Right.
So you could practice.
You don't have a chance. Yeah. You don't have a chance to win. That's what he does. I know you can't really prove it, but I know that's what he does.
Right.
But he is also not on good terms with Twin Galaxies anymore.
Well, theoretically, I don't know. That's always questionable.
Well, he even published a movie, The King of Con, where he insults Twin Galaxies and Billy Mitchell and so on.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty drastical, yeah.
It's pretty critical.
It's critical and drastic. It's really.
Does he say anything about me?
Not that I remember.
Okay.
It must have been 5 years ago or something. I actually ordered it because I didn't know about all this, controversies surrounding high scores in Twin Galaxies. So I ordered all the movies I could find. Pardon?
So back in our days of innocence.
Yeah. It's really, really hard.
Billy Mitchell, he's just suing himself. I mean, this whole thing, we're suing Twin Galaxies is just a stage show to make everybody think he's not associated with Twin Galaxies, and that Twin Galaxies is on the up and up. And I'm going to get my scores in because the legal process, and they didn't just put them back in. I had to fight to get them back in, and that just goes to show you how conscientious Twin Galaxies is basically this what they're planning on, and then they're going to take out my scores. I know they're planning to attack me at some point in the future. Hopefully, I die by natural causes, but I might be around too long. They might attack me anyway. Who knows? We'll see what the future holds. I'm sure you'll be wanting to interview me again.
But you're not that old, are you? I mean, you're not that old. You're not.
That's not that old.
No.
Yeah, well, it's not that young either. I mean, people my age drop dead all the time. Not a.
I interviewed people being 88 and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Really.
Yeah.
You are among the younger.
Yeah. Well, some people live to be 90, and I don't know. We'll see how long I go. Who dies first, me or Billy? Me or Robert Merzak? We'll see. Billy's tall. He's like 6'5", so he'll probably get a heart attack before I will.
Yeah, you never see really tall old people, which worries me slightly because I'm like 6'3", so.
Oh, okay.
But
yeah, you're on the tall side.
Yeah.
But wasn't the Chewbacca actor 80 or something? Wasn't he pretty old?
I don't know how old he was.
Oh, now we are sidetracking to Star Wars. Oh my God! From Missile Command to Star Wars.
Yeah, well, you're talking about Peter Mayhew. He was let me see. Let's take a look. He was 74.
Okay, not that old.
Yeah, not that old.
Okay.
No,
not that old.
He was 74 when he died?
Yeah.
The guy who played Chewbacca?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He was also, he was 7'3", and towards the end he was in, a wheelchair and all that stuff because he's.
Ah, gosh.
So.
Gosh. Right.
He's 7'3", huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
legs gave out on him, I guess, huh?
Yeah, well, I guess you can see in the movies, he's kind of walking with his, you can see his legs are kind of like knock-kneed, he's kind of the knees are pointing in because they're not doing as well as they should be.
Okay.
But talking about it, Roy, aren't you a bodybuilder? You should be in perfect health.
Pretty good health, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty good health. But bodybuilders are just like anything else. I mean, to be a bodybuilder, you have to beat the living shit out of yourself.
Yeah.
So it doesn't work that way. I mean, if you're just a casual worker out, someone who works out casually is going to live a lot longer than a bodybuilder. Bodybuilders don't live that long. They're like football players. It takes a real toll on you, the joints and everything else. I mean, I got problems with my legs and my back's kind of bad, but I'm pretty tough, so I'm still going at it. So
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I saw your how you say it at the contest for bodybuilding, where you replayed Arnold Schwarzenegger's bodybuilding scene.
Oh yeah, that's you saw that thing, that hilarious bodybuilding routine.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I did that. I did. They had a contest at Muscle Beach, and they have a section you can compete for like over 60. I did that like the year I turned 60. I celebrated my 60th birthday by competing in that contest because my birthday's on July 2nd and that contest was on July 4th. It was the July 4th contest.
Right.
Wow.
So I turned 60 and I went to compete in that contest and do that funny routine, singing that crazy song,
I mean, you look pretty stable to me health wise.
Pretty good for.
Yeah, I was pretty good for. Like I said, I'm tough. I mean, you could see me when I'm walking though. I was walking kind of funny though, right? A little bit. So,
but people in the comments said that is because of the lack of I think a lack of water or something. The routine you have to prepare for bodybuilding and show the muscles.
Yeah, well, we didn't do a lot of preparation there. I should have painted on a darker tan. I guess I wasn't as tan as I should have been. So
Well, I mean, I'm not a bodybuilding expert.
Bodybuilding's got to be tan, otherwise you can't. The muscles don't show up. It's a crazy sport, man. You don't want to get involved in it. It's not. It's
No, I don't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of our graphic artists from Lima, Peru, he used to be a wrestler, so. And now he is programming video games on mobile phones. So
okay.
Why not?
Sure. Sure.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, why not? Yeah. See.
Okay.
So is there anything else you want to cover?
No, I think I've done most of it here. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll let you know when I do my YouTube. I got a YouTube I got to put out. So I'm going to put out a YouTube, and when I do, I'll make sure that I'll call you and let you take a look at it, and we'll take it from there.
That would be good, because right now all your YouTube videos are scattered over different channels.
Right.
I remember when we were preparing for the interview, I was emailing AJ all this URL. Oh, look, there's another playlist from Roy Shildt, and there's another playlist from Roy Shildt. I was like, oh my god, you have so many videos scattered all over the place. It would be good to have them all at one place,
Yeah. I'm kind of flattered. I mean, especially my book. I mean, the book I wrote, guy was so impressed with it, he made a website and started selling it, which is okay by me because technically it's not legally copyrighted. There's nothing I can do about it. But somebody who does that and then sells 5,000 copies, it says that I must be doing something right.
Right.
Yeah, that is why I'm telling you, you have to republish it. I mean, print on demand.
Well, I'm waiting for the right time. I know it sounds kind of weird, but I've been working on that. The pandemic has really slowed me down. And I should be fully retired by the middle of next year. So and then I'll have plenty of time to take care of that.
I mean, isn't the pandemic the perfect time for a book? I wonder.
Well, I'm trying to promote myself. I want to get the movie done. I don't want to redo the book until I want to re-release it. When the movie comes out, because sell 5,000 copies, big deal. I mean, this guy. 5,000 copies is nothing. I want to sell at least 2 million.
Yeah.
Right.
that's what I want to do. 5,000, 10,000, 5,000 copies isn't going to do anything. So, I need the big push. I got to find somebody who believes in me enough to do a movie on me, which you'll be able to have a better opinion on once you read the book. So, does Roy Shildt really deserve his own movie? Well, maybe not. But you have to read the book first. See.
I mean, you left a good enough impression on me that I wanted to talk to you. Otherwise, I wouldn't have contacted you 2 years ago and kept sending your emails over the last 2 years. So you certainly were on my how do you say it in English? Short list.
Yes,
I think it's called short list.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And if there are any directors out there that want to do a movie that happen to be listening to, get in touch with us.
Well, I gotta get up there and get to him. I wanted to. What's his name? Who's the guy who does Family Guy? What that guy? Seth MacFarlane.
Seth MacFarlane. Yeah.
I tried to get him to do a Family Guy movie about me. I wrote a synopsis and a treatment and well, he never got back to me. So what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
I mean, AJ, didn't you say?
I want the big deal. I want the big movie. I got to get a movie first. I got to get that movie. I've been dreaming about it all my whole life for the last 30 years.
Yeah.
So you'll know more when you read the book. To read the book.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, if Tanya Harding got a movie, I should be able to get one. So
that's
the way I look at it.
Let me know when you shipped it. Send me an email when you shipped it.
All right, I will.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thanks a lot.
Yes.
I learned
problem.
a lot today. Thanks for sharing the stories.
Thank you so much, and keep in
you.
touch. Put me on the friend list, all right?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
All right, take care.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.